Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to our very special Shabbat. On this Shabbat, we remember my late colleague, your late rabbi, Ernst Conrad, because I now get to know, I knew Ernst not very well, but we used to schmooze at conferences when we were both doing that sort of thing. So we used to schmooze at conferences, so now I've had the honor of meeting his wife and his son, and so that's a very good feeling. But we honor Rabbi Conrad's memory, as well as remembering Kristallnacht, which the anniversary of which was just 2 days ago. We begin our service with a prelude.
Page 10. Yedid nefesh av harachaman. Yedid nefesh av harachaman. B'shoch avdecha. El ritzonecha. B'shoch avdecha.
We continue on page 2. David and Eileen Heiger will be leading us in lighting and blessing the Shabbat candles.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Todah, thank you so much. We continue with welcoming our Sabbath bride with Lecha Dodi on page 20. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'litchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nisucha, sof ma'aseh b'machashavat achila, lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, kiva orech, kumi ori, uri, shir daveri, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam besimcha utzochola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela.
The Reader's Kaddish is on page 26.
Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash shmei Rabba, be'alma divrach yirutei, ve'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei decho beit Yisrael, bagala, u'vizman kariv, ve'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach, le'alam u'lamei amaya, yitvarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei dekudusha b'richu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, ve'yimru amen. We remain standing for our call to worship, Baruch Hu, on page 28. Yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach, Baruch Adonai hamevorach, le'olam va'ed, hamevorach, le'olam va'ed.
Page 31. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day and to night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 33 at the bottom. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives.
What could be a truer token of your abiding love
than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form?
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. The Hafta is on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אליו, נורא תהילות אוסף אליו, מלכותך ראו בניך בוקי הים לפני משה
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 44.
We rise for the Amidah on page 46. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufia gitei latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Ata gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol ata Rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al giburot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'ne'eman atah machachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. We're on page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this Shabbat day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. 57. Let's say Adonai Eloheinu b'amcha Yisrael, u'tfilatam b'ahavat tikabel. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you. In this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve and reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, and for the world around us, so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lahodot. Page 60.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom V'tov
Please take a moment for a silent prayer. We will meet on page 62. We ask God's blessing of healing for all those who are in pain of body or spirit. On this Shabbat, we ask God's mindfulness for the needs of Terry Bavin, Stuart Bobkin, Arnie Brooks, Carol DeVore, Merrill Hirschland, Richard Hittow, Sally Keaton, Stephanie Lasher, Shauna Max, Kermit Prill, Sylvia Ralph, Melinda Saulson, Vivian Simon, Judy Zimmerman, and Joseph Falick. Are there any other names we wish to mention, please?
Florence and Priscilla.
Please, go ahead.
Barbara Gilman. Kevin Sher.
Ray, Dan, Becky, Steve, Lawrence Fryer. Kathy Fryer.
Mike.
Page 253.
Page 282, please rise for Alenu. Please remain standing. Page 294. We remember Catherine Hay and Janet Lowinger-Halper, who were recently taken from us. On this Shabbat, we remember the yortzites of Sandra D. Bernstein, Kyle Charles Collin, Albert M. Coleman, Matthew Deutsch, Lawrence Einhorn, Molly Ector, Edward Earl Eubanks, Manuel Gorman, Samuel Granitz, Arthur Holmes, Arlene Immerman, Blanche Jackson, Marvin Kaplan, Celia Margolis, Aviva Robinson, Marvin Sales, Susan Schneider, Florence Vinsky, and Sylvia Zaid. Together, Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, B'yalma divrach Yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayei chom v'yomei chom, u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah muvarach l'olam l'yomei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, V'yithadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dekudusha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom.
Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
And we call to mind Betty Flom, who was taken from us yesterday, and to Tali and to her entire family. May you be comforted by the presence of the divine. The funeral service, as per the announcement, is on Sunday.
We also send our hearts out to Lee and Judy Schottenfels on the passing of Sally Bloom Schottenfels.
Please be seated. And Rabbi Conrad's yahrzeit, yes, of course. Please be seated. Sue Farber will bring us our announcements, followed by the Chudnoffs, who will be helping us turn back to page 5 for candles and kiddush. Candles at kiddush and motzi. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom, and thank you, all of you who are here and all of you who are also streaming with us. We'll be having our annual TKA B'nai Israel Combined Veterans Day Shabbat service tomorrow morning, November 12th. Our Shabbat worship will begin at 11, and then we will join B'nai Israel here in the sanctuary at 11:45. Excuse me. TKA Sisterhood invites you ladies to a special evening at Temple Cole for a Women's Self-Defense Awareness Program with Captain Jen Miles from the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. This will take place this Thursday, November 17th, from 7 until 9. This is open to all women, and the event is free of charge. Contact Eileen Heider with questions. If you're here, Eileen is sitting right there in the back. Next weekend, join us for our Artist in Residence with Cantor Rosalie Will. This will take place on November 18th and 19th. Cantor Will lead us in Shabbat services on Friday night at 6 o'clock. Please notice the special time, followed by dinner and a campfire sing-along at 7:15. On Saturday, November 19th, Cantor Will lead us in a Lunch and Learn program entitled Free to Be, You and Me, creating a safe space for all people. Please see the flyer in the weekly email and out in our lobby. For Shabbat Toldot on Saturday, November 26th of Thanksgiving weekend, in honor of Jacob's birthright, we will be having a Jacob and Esau themed lentil stew after services. Please RSVP to Steve Merritt or Jackie Zamek so they know how much stew to make. Last, save the date for TKA Giving Tuesday on Tuesday, November 29th after Thanksgiving. On our new website, you can donate more easily than ever, but feel free to call the temple office if you would like to give and you have any questions. Visit our website or check your weekly email for the link to the donation page. Thanks tonight to Gersh for handling our screening and to Jean for handling ushering duties. All of you, Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Mal and Nina, if you'd like to come help us make kiddush. On page 2, please rise. And we lift the cup in thanksgiving. Page 5. Did I say page 5? Page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון ינחי לנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת amen l'chaim. And we uncover our challah. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'te'avon.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. We are going to do a little reorganizing here and turn the program over to Joe Conrad. Thank you, Natalie.
Shabbat Shalom. On behalf of Elsa, my sister, Dave, my brother-in-law, and Ben, my nephew, who just celebrated his 17th birthday, blessings on everyone, for everyone who's got veterans in the family or here tonight. Again, thank you so much, and many blessings and prayers your way as well. I always like to do a prayer that I look for when I lead a service or when I think of my father, just that I think sums up a lot of different things we feel, not just in our family, but a lot among our loved ones. And this is from the additional prayers from the Yom Kippur liturgy. How does one find the eternal God? By the doing of good deeds, by the study of the Torah. And how does the Holy One find us? Through our love, friendship, and respect. Through companionship, truth, and peace. Through the service of scholars and the discussion of students. Through decency and a good heart. Through a no that is truly no, and a yes that is truly yes. Thus says the Holy One to Israel, my children, what do I seek of you? Only love one another, honor and respect each other. Let there be found in you neither transgression nor theft, nor aught else shameful. As it is said, it has been told what is good and what the Eternal One demands of you, to justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. It's hard to believe it's been 13 years since Rabbi Conrad passed away. In many years, we were very fortunate to have speakers from the Holocaust Center or people such as my father who survived Crystal Night, whose anniversary we just observed, and various parts of the Holocaust. He was fortunate enough to leave Germany in April of 1939 and came to New York and then to Cincinnati, Ohio. In recent years, of course, because of the virus, we've had panels and other discussions to discuss Rabbi Conrad as well as the temple. And this year we are very honored to have a number of guests that are going to share some of their thoughts in their various roles of the temple. I was 4 years old, almost 5, when the temple was founded and was consecrated here, bar mitzvah, president of the youth group, affirmed, and saw many events, including my sister's wedding. Many of the people here tonight have served in various board member positions, as youth group presidents, as temple presidents, and just honorable members of the temple for a long time. Thank you, Janet and Steve, for all of your help tonight as well. But tonight's thoughts are going to be on the origins of these members, and we'll have some time for everybody here to talk a little bit about how they came about joining the temple. Please welcome our guests. And as we share in our memories and our thoughts of our loved ones and all the founders and all the people that made this temple so wonderful and continue to make it wonderful, we're going to share with some of our members some of the thoughts they have on this occasion tonight. So please welcome Michelle Tegman.
Thank you. Should I
She can stay.
just stay here? Okay. Well, I wanted to share just a little bit about my experiences growing up and going through life with Rabbi Conrad as my rabbi, and what it meant to me as to have him as kind of the center of my Jewish life. And this is actually, I think, the third time that I've had the honor and privilege of being able to share my experiences with Rabbi Conrad. Once having been at a prior such event in Rabbi's memory, but once having been in his honor while he was still with us and still very active at the temple, when I had the chance to share the experiences of the young people of Kol Ami. And I think that was a side that a lot of people didn't necessarily get to see. And as an adult now, and having been through my own path within Kol Ami, religious school and bat mitzvah and affirmation, and my own children's paths as well, and serving on the youth group board as well as on the temple board, I realized really what a privilege it was to have had Rabbi Conrad as my rabbi, as I've had the opportunity to see so many clergy in so many different roles. I realize that it's always going to be, for me, Rabbi Conrad who will define what a rabbi is and should be. He was smart, but really knowledgeable, but never condescending, always willing to share, but never talking down, including to young people. I think that he always was interested in everyone's experiences at their own level, and even though we knew kids who hated religious school, the kids all loved Rabbi Conrad. He was caring. When I met my husband a very long time ago, he was very warm and invited him into the community. He accepted everyone and really judged no one. I really felt like he took all of us as we were and responded to that. And he never was rushed. I never really felt, even as a young person, like Rabbi Conrad was thinking about something else he had to do or somewhere else he had to be. He was always really focused on who was there in front of him and what the experience was at the time. And he, I think, really led us to want to be, there was nothing that he would discourage in any way. He was always very encouraging and trying to help us find our paths. And really, I don't remember him ever being negative, even though, do I need to move? Thanks. Even though he would have had some reason to maybe be negative, and he certainly had some hard experiences in his life, I never remember him being critical or saying a negative word. And to me, he looked like a rabbi. And honestly, he looked the same. Like, I remember him looking the same from when I was a little kid to when I was a grown adult. He just always looked exactly the same, and that was a rabbi. And he really, as he was my partner through life here at Kol Ami, so he really was so much of what Kol Ami was about for me through my bat mitzvah and what it meant, and through affirmation and not confirmation, which I think was a Rabbi Conrad thing, the idea that you were affirming, making a statement. These were choices that we were making as young adults that weren't being brought on us, that we were affirming our faith. To our wedding here at Temple Kol Ami, it was so important to him that he was the one who actually pronounced our marriage, and it was equally important to me. I don't think that we ever actually said English wedding vows, but it's been 31 years, and so I guess it's okay. He was there then to have the good fortune of not only having him through all of those years, but then through my children's naming and bris and bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, through their beginning their own journey, was really just so meaningful. Through holidays, through births, through deaths, he will be a constant in my heart and in my life, and I will never hear an X word without thinking of Rabbi Conrad as we go through the alphabet on the High Holy Days, and his creativity with always coming up with something for xenophobia. So really, to me, Rabbi Conrad and Natalie and Joe are what Temple Kol Ami is, and what it means still to this day, somehow through different clergy and a number of members coming and going. I think that they still really remain that touch point, and I think that for me and for everyone who's ever found a home at Kol Ami, we will always be in great debt to the Conrad family for creating what continues to exist today.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Please welcome her father, Bob Epstein.
I was expecting to do an introduction to my daughter. Now we're gonna reverse and go back to before Michelle was born. We've belonged to Kol Ami for 45 years now, approximately. My background was conservative. My grandfather was a founding member and one of the first presidents of Adash Shalom on Curtis. And but after Renee and I got married, we really had no affiliation for some time. Then we had Michelle, then we had our son Dan, and then Sunday school was approaching, or the time for Sunday school. So Renee took the burden really of looking around. She was interested and preferred reform, and I had no objection to that. As we progressed through visiting different congregations, I laid down just one rule, and that was that there wouldn't be an organ, which I think you'll appreciate. So we did go to services at a number of different congregations. Kol Ami was pretty new in this location, of course, which is it's the first of its own facilities, and it was in our neighborhood. We live in this general area, and we were enthused by the traditional approach that Kol Ami took in its services. There was a good deal more English than we were used to, which Renee enjoyed, but at the same time they didn't abandon Hebrew. And Hebrew is a very important part of the service and still is. Kol Ami was unique among the temples and the conservative congregations in that a child that was bar bat mitzvah was not just a fixture on the bema. The child learned the entire service. The child did not just do a haftorah and maybe a mafter, like I did. They conducted substantial parts of the service. The service was built around them. And among other things, the membership then was growing, it was new, there were people that were more or less our contemporaries. We found a warmth in the congregation, and we found the absence of any hint of what I would call elitism. An example I would say is after the first High Holy Day services that we attended, Renee and I, we walked out and I said to Renee, that's the first time I understood the service and I enjoyed the service. A few words about Ernst Conrad. Renee reminded me today as I was putting my cheat sheet together that he had an incredible memory for names. Not just for the members, but for the members' family members, for their parents. He would never forget a name. He had a great sense of humor. When you had a chance to interact with him one-on-one or two-on-one, as Renee would and I would do periodically, out would come his love of archaeology. And once you got him started on that subject, you just have to sit back and enjoy, because he loved speaking about it.
And the Detroit Tigers.
Well, okay, and no, that's your story. Ours is archaeology. So Ernst Conrad and Kol Ami became a very close part of our family for many good times and for our losses, and this was going to be my introduction to my lovely daughter and the end of my little spiel.
If it makes you more comfortable, you can introduce me, because we've known each other for,
A few years.
About 50 years.
Yeah.
I'm not a native Detroiter. My name is Sid Frank. I've been a Kol Ami member for as long as I can recall. When Alice and when I left the service, I came to Detroit. As I said, I'm not a native Detroiter. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, in a conservative temple. And I remember my experience with the rabbi in Scranton, and it was fearful. And if I didn't fear him enough, the cantor made me even more fearful. And the cantor on my Friday night of my bar mitzvah sent me home because I was wearing white shoes. He said, you don't show up for your bar mitzvah with white shoes. Well, so that was my experience with rabbis and with cantors before I came to Michigan. When we came out of the service, we didn't know where we would join. We really had no idea what was available for us. We visited a number of different synagogues. We were married in Sheretz Tzedek. I can remember my grandfather standing in that beautiful temple and crying because it was so beautiful. But it wasn't for us. We just didn't feel comfortable there. So we visited a lot of different temples in the area during that period of time. It was before we had children. And the thing that I remember about Kol Ami is when we walked in, everyone said hello. And when the service was over, Rabbi Conrad came over and reintroduced himself, because he saw us as new people who had not been here before. And it was a very welcoming experience. And of course, so welcoming that here we are, what, 60 years later, two of our three children were bar mitzvahed here, bar and bat mitzvahed, and the third one came along 11 years later, so we didn't have the privilege of Rabbi Conrad doing the actual bar mitzvah, but they were both on the bima, and we felt just so comfortable with him being there. It was part of the experience that he knew our children, he liked them, he worked with them, and they were not resentful, and the fear that I grew up with just was never there. I had to go back and take a look. I worked with Rabbi Conrad on a lot of administrative issues. I was on the board and ended up being president of the temple, and I had to go look at the little plaque on my wall to see what year that was. It was 1987. And there were a lot of things that were going on then, not the least of which is that wall and the temple addition, and how Rabbi Conrad was involved in determining what would happen, how it would happen, always being willing to give his opinion, and it was a tremendous experience. He was the fixture that was always there, the certainty that was always there. And never in all those years, and I can't remember the year that we actually joined, but I think our daughter, and Alice, help me if I'm wrong, I think our daughter, who's our first, who's now 52, is that right? I think she was about 3 or 4, maybe just ready for the first year of Sunday school. And again, you spoke about Sunday school and about, I grew up hating Sunday school. Because it wasn't just Sunday school, it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday school. And it was not something that I looked forward to. But with Rabbi Conrad interacting with the social director and the educational program and being involved, the children, at least the ones that we had contact with, never seemed to object. They might not have wanted to give up that day, but they did it. And there was always something for them to learn and to do, and it was more of a function of Rabbi Conrad's doing than anyone else. And here we are, I don't know how many years later. I don't like to tell people my age, but come January, I'll be 81, and I'm looking forward to a lot more years, and the memories that we have with Rabbi Conrad, with Natalie, with Joseph, with Joe, are the kinds of memories that stay with you your entire life. And the reason they do is because of the character of the people that you interact with. And their character was always there. It was something to look forward to, something to be held on a pedestal and idolized and being a part of. That's about it. Any questions you might have about the 60-some-odd years that are represented? The two of us actually, we knew each other, I think, even at law school. So we go back before that. Never once did we regret joining this temple, Temple Kolomei. And the first years that we joined, it was absolutely something that we saw all the time. Any new person that was in the congregation, someone would, it wasn't the job of the people on the board, but someone would go and talk to that person. Someone would introduce themselves. Rabbi Conrad would see us talking, he'd come over and join us. It was the type of experience that allowed this temple to grow. And even though we're going through some hard times now, the future is going to still keep us going, and we'll be here for many years to come.
Thank you, Sid. It's an honor to have everybody here tonight and to have everybody speak. If there's anybody else that would like to share any of their thoughts of their origins or membership, thank you, Janet. Deb?
I only wish that I knew Rabbi Conrad, but I've had the pleasure of knowing Natalie for at least the last year and Joe for our volunteering with social action and a lot of other good things. But the one thing I want to say, because we talked about what's going on from day one and now, and I've only been a member, I want to say 6 years, but what brought me here, which is what you were talking about before, my very first service, Paul Gross, who must be working tonight, and I hope he brings us rain instead of snow, but I was temple shopping on a Saturday morning, and Paul made a point of coming right up to me and introducing himself, and just very inviting, and so did Jim Stagman, who is not here. And I would like to think that we're inspired because of the way Joe, or because of Rabbi Conrad. So thank you, and bless you.
Thank you so much, Deb.
I just want to share one thing that nobody's ever heard, and this is an entirely different aspect. There was a wedding one time, thank you, at another synagogue. One of our kids was marrying one of theirs, and we had to meet. I was going to play, and Ernst was going to co-officiate with the rabbi of that congregation, and it was typical. We set up a meeting so that we could all decide who was going to do what and when and so forth. So we came there, and there was another event. It was a large congregation, couldn't find a place to park, and we had gotten a call that morning that the rabbi was having to officiate at a funeral, and he couldn't be there. And we saw rabbi parking, so we parked the car there, and we were in and talking about the wedding. When he came storming in, he had he had forgotten to take his rabbi's manual to conduct the funeral. So he came back for it, and he came in like Papa Bear and said, "Somebody is parking in my space." And Ernst looked at him, he said, "Well, you know, it said rabbi parking." and I'm a rabbi. So that,
Hi, I'm Marcia Person. My husband, late husband Roger, and I joined Kolami 38 years ago when my daughter was one. My first daughter was 2.5, and my youngest daughter was 1. And we've been members ever since. And you're right, as soon as we walked in the door, people came, you know, I think we met the Rabins that night, and, you know, and we're still friends, we still, you know, and my husband Roger adored Rabbi Conrad, and he loved coming to Torah study, and especially as he, you know, once he got older and he started to slow down and work, and he had more time, and he would spend time, and also he liked going to the ball games with Rabbi Conrad. So they would go to Comerica Park, and it was like a love affair. And so you know, and that was Rabbi Conrad in the later years. So we experienced that, but this has been our home. You know, our names are all over the walls. My kids, you know, went through the whole thing all the way to high school graduation, and Roger's and my parents are unfortunately on the memory wall, and this is our place, this is our home, and it was because we walked in and met Rabbi Conrad when we were synagogue shopping, and we ended up building a house across the street because we wanted to be close to the temple.
Thank you so much again on behalf of everyone in the family, and thank you to Mom for playing and sharing so many things of our history with Dad and without, and so many good things everybody brings to the table here. And again, blessings on everybody here, on Norman family, on Steve, and thank you so much for coming. And Janet, again, thank you so much, and we'll have a concluding hymn.
Yep. Hine Mato, page 10. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much to our speakers. And if you would like, there is oneg in the social hall.